Well, hello, everybody. Guess what? The Undercurrent is back because we are done politicking and our campaigns are over. And at this point, so we're going to talk about that tonight. So I am Kevin Leatherbarrow, and with me is
Tony Rosales. We are the disgraced libertarians of Great
yes,
Falls.
disgraced libertarians, and we are proud to have run the races. I think that we have. I know I am. I think it was very disappointing, but I think at the same it brought out a lot of the targets that you and I wanted to target when we started this project two years ago, of thinking about running for as Republicans and joining over that into that arena. And I am very disappointed in our voters in so many ways, and in my district for seemed a very shallow showing in my area. So I was kind of disappointed in that because I know I walked
Yeah,
doors
your
and stuff.
district only had what? Did it even break 1,000?
I don't think so. I mean, I only lost by a few, a couple hundred, and he
Yeah,
think it was like 500 for him, 580 or something. That was close to 300 or something. I don't know.
yeah, not many people, and in either the Democrat or the Republican election, there just wasn't. Which is sort of one of the more unfortunate things because that's where a lot of the decisions end up being made in terms of who will be your likely representative.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like it is the primary process that results in your two choices for the general election.
Yeah. So I was talking about how we have been planning this for 2 years, and we were also talking with others that got us also interested in it, and we had some planning to do, and we did. And I wanted to see, out of any of the goals, do you remember some of our goals that we were trying to accomplish, other than trying to win, but
I mean, that was the main one, trying to win.
trying to win? Yeah. Others were having them spend money. Others were to call out, kind of see what their integrities are, what was really going on. And I think I found a lot of stuff out about how fractured the GOP here in Great Falls is. And I think we accomplished a lot of goals, including money spending. I mean, they spent a lot on ours. You and I did not. We spent what we could, and our goal was not to spend a lot. Unless there was big donors that wanted to come in. So there was some good goals that were kind of met, at least, my end. And I know you were in on those conversations as well. So
yeah, I think, because something that characterized this election, especially in Cascade County, was the amount of money that was spent on these elections. I don't think we've seen as high of a spend, and I don't think we'll be able to truly quantify it like we usually are able to, just because how much of it is dark money or money that just doesn't have to be reported for various reasons, mainly because it's an individual doing it as opposed to a political action committee or a candidate. So I think this is sort of a timely moment in Montana where we have that going on in this primary season, but there's a lot of people who are signing on to this dark money bill or dark money referendum that would get in front of the voters in the general election in November. So that would I'm not too certain on the specifics, but essentially it would limit the ability for outside groups from Montana to be able to participate or contribute to different campaigns in a meaningful way. I was one of those who benefited greatly from that, because there were organizations that were without talking to me and without coordinating with me, because that's sort of the law in Montana. They had folks out there doing door knocking and hangers for me, which was a great benefit to be able to have that support. And the reason why I think that's important is because it's who spends the most money oftentimes has a huge advantage in the election outcome, and we saw that here in Great Falls, where the the Nikola caucuses spent a lot of money, not even within just their campaigns, but many other people's campaigns, and not even just their legislative races, the precinct committee woman and precinct committee man positions as well. And they spent a lot of money sending out flyers or mailers out to across Cascade County to make sure their folks got elected to as the Republican candidates for the legislature, or that they were elected to serve on the precinct, which ends up giving them more control of the central committee in Montana. So all of this is sort of a long way of describing it's, you could get rid of dark money, but either way you're sort of being led by the elites. It's just depending on, do you want those elites to be people who are the elites in your community, or elites outside of Montana who are just trying to find a better future for all of America. So either way, I think it's sort of a wash in terms of who you want to trust, because either way it's elites spending money, and are they really spending money in the towards the benefit of the common person?
Yeah, I mean, we just looked at, you were speaking on George and how he put money towards again for my candidate, and sent out, and we had those flyers that were, they came out, and both of you and I both got the bad flyers, and I think the hardest part is that we knew it was going to be a hard elections, but we didn't. I guess I wasn't prepared for the sheer evil people out there that would go after you and be a friend on your Facebook page for personal Facebook for years and years, and then turn around and just go ahead and stab you completely in the back for their political purposes. And I'm disappointed, and to your credit and ours, we both ran, we didn't do schmears. Like you said, we had people behind us, and I told my people, we're not sending out those things. I'm not doing those kind of campaign. I'm not going to, and boy, we had opportunities to do so.
Yeah. What for you, what was the most surprising outcome from the primary elections?
I don't know. I think sometimes the very no voting in my area. That was,
yours was like second lowest. So for your district, I just had it here. 937 people participated in the Republican primary. The lowest was District 19, which only had 703 people participate in the Republican primary.
Wow. Yeah, and Hannah won that.
Yeah.
They're not going to change their mind on that, I guess. She won.
And more people participate in the Democratic primary,
right,
over the Republican primary there, which that's sort of a strong indicator of where that one ends up leaning.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, that's crazy. Yep. I was kind of shocked that we did get endorsements. I mean, we did, even though a lot of them were where they need to be. It was great. It was good to see that. It was good.
And I think that speaks to the two-party system. That's sort of like when you have more of a shot because you've designated Republican or Democrat, more organizations are willing to support you, because
right.
I mean, and for good reason, that you have you do have a better shot of winning in the two-party system.
Yep.
Which again was probably one of the weirdest things about our campaigns, is all of the finger pointing on who's a Republican, who isn't a Republican, and what that actually means to be a Republican, especially considering that, like, if we live in a representative democracy in any sort of meaningful way, or representative republic in any sort of meaningful way, you would think that the party could its intention is to try and not just represent maybe a third or a half of people based off political ideology, but ultimately, like, should be there to support everyone. but to sort of examine it from such a narrow lens on who is in and who is not a Republican sort of limits who you're serving at the end of the day. Like, who are you? Is it that party platform, or is it the constituents? Which I think there's a lot of rhetoric going both ways during our races or during this campaign about that.
Mm-hmm.
Which is sort of a shame, because I think it positioned people as too much of a, you're either you follow the party platform, or you vote, you don't have principles and you just vote populist, which neither are good extremes to be on.
Yeah. Yeah. It was, and again, I was already running as a Republican in my district. I was supposed to go up against George. There was no other primary or anything like that. And we knew that George was going, we didn't know. I had a hunch George was going to switch, and my hunch just happened to be right. I got a 50-50 chance on that. That was luck. But I really thought that he was going to. And then if you're going to do that, then the Republican platform was, okay, there's already a Republican in there. He was in first. Let's run him, vet him, and let him go.
Yeah.
And we're not going to run a primary against him. So for them to come out so hard to come after us, me in particular, on it just shows face on how split everything is, and their communications are not there. And if they are there, they're not in the best interest of
Right.
maybe the Republican Party.
Well, and this is something that's I think I've sort of mentioned in several instances ever since even being in the Libertarian Party, that the politics in Montana are so, the traditional Republican Democrat divide in Montana doesn't work. Partly because more people are tend to be some more fiscally moderate, or if not some more conservative. In general, we have a more conservative social base here in Montana. And so ultimately, like, trying to divide them as Democrats at the national level doesn't make sense here. And so that it really is the battle of what is the composure of the Republican Party. And it'd be great to see other parties to be able to fill that gap
Mm-hmm.
that's
Mm-hmm.
that is there right now. But I don't think that's probably not going to be the solution, or an easy solution for us to approach it with. And instead, I think there needs to be some more fundamental changes in the Democratic Party to have folks there who are actually challenging Republicans in more meaningful ways. So I think the Montana Democratic Party needs to focus more back on the the working class in Montana, and really provide more of the alternative for working class people who want a government that is involved in their lives. Because I think that's where a lot of the moderate Republicans are, and that's where the base of a good portion of Republicans in Montana is. They are Republican in terms of they don't want to be crazy progressives that you might see
Right.
on the Democratic Party, but they are ultimately people who are fine with taxation, or fine with government, don't really see the necessity of trying to limit government or to limit taxation in any sort of meaningful way. And that's a big part of the Republican Party that has been at odds with the more, I guess, more right wing of the Montana Republican Party, if you're to describe it as such.
Yeah, and I'm shocked but honored still. I mean, I don't want to use the word heavily honored, but that the Republican Party both backed you and I,
Yeah.
and I love that. I mean, I've been talking with people, and I don't know about you about running again, or running on that. But I had one reach out to me and almost ask, would you ever kind of think about running for Congress, like actually federal level?
Yeah.
Did you get that? Did
No.
anybody come out and ask you?
No.
And it was from one of my endorsements. And we had a nice long conversation. I'm not going to name them right now because I laughed at it, because I wanted to tell him I have another candidate for you actually that would do that, but I'm sure his wife would kill me if I said that too. But I think I think in so many ways we covered so many goals, um, in the light of all of this, making them spend money, making them go after us, and showing true personalities and true understanding of who they are and how nasty they can actually
Oh.
be, and straight up. And I want to follow that up because I'd like to go to just one, and I think it's one of the most severe, actually. And so this is George Nikolakis answering one of my things. He says, let's be honest, this weirdo supports gun rights because he wants to shoot cops. Okay. So, and that was on the, the right to bear arms shall not be infringed. And I think the Republican Party, I'm glad that they responded to some of the things that they didn't want, and he was removed, or however symbolically no longer recognized as a member of the party. But I
Right.
mean, with stuff like that, they should be removed from any position at all. And I think when this race went so nasty, it was hard for to stomach and stay in. What about you when it went that way?
Yeah,
How'd you
well,
do?
I mean, I think it showed the true colors of a lot of our elected officials in Great Falls and Cascade County, because I mean it came from a good lot of them, um, which I think continues to demonstrate what we've talked about it with this good old boys club. And one thing that we at least had behind us was it what we were doing was a grassroots movement, or grassroots politics. Like we were getting out at the doors. We were trying to discuss with the people that felt disenfranchised from the Republican Party, from some of the elected representatives that we have in Great Falls, Cascade County, and to your point, like we were able to shine a light on what is happening in the Republican Party in Great Falls, and how it's fairly distinct from the rest of the Montana GOP, which I think is interesting. Sure, there were some other heated or contested races across the state of Montana in terms
Mm-hmm.
of Republican
Mm-hmm.
primary, but there were several contested and important primaries in Great Falls,
Yep.
by nature of the divide that we're seeing there. And for a while, I thought it was or Great Falls was more of maybe the last bastion of conservatism, or more libertarianism based thinking, at least when it comes to the cities of Montana. Because I mean, Butte has obviously been more blue given the Union Pass there, but like even thinking about the other big places like Missoula, Bozeman, Whitefish, they're all growing, and they're definitely not the more conservative spots of Montana. And I
Yeah.
always thought Great Falls was sort of that last city that had that. But with these past elections and some of the results we're seeing, I'm not sure if that's the case. I think there's people who are more fine with government intervention, and don't see the problem or the long term problems that we have with the type of spending and tax model we have in Montana, and more on a bigger picture, what we're seeing at the federal level in our federal debt, and what that means when that gets out of control, and then what the states have to do in response to that.
Oh, they're gonna see it, and they're gonna see it soon. They're gonna see what's up coming up. I, I had a whisper in my ear as the campaign kind of started that the Department of Ed here, or whichever wants to put another few $100s on property tax to pick up the school pace.
Hmm.
Now, right now, that's just rumor. That's just hearsay. But it is in a letter that was trans that was given out by the GOP, and so they're going to see. And unfortunately, like you said, I mean, look at the number of nonprofits in Montana. When you have that many nonprofits that are taking or doing whichever with all of these and moving, and look at the people who are getting arrested for embezzlement, or taking money. We just had
Yeah,
articles just recently on that, did we not? Right?
yeah,
Um,
millions of dollars in fraud in Great Falls.
yeah, millions and millions and millions. So I'm I'm disappointed too that they're not, because I see a lot of "Don't Tread on Me" license plates in Great Falls, and I really don't know if that's just the percentage of, the libertarian slash far right, and there's only a short handful. But once you see one license plate, you can't help but see another one. It's
Yeah,
like looking at a rabbit, finally seeing him in the woods, and there's a bunch of rabbits. Um, so yeah, and I knew 19, and as you did, knew 19 wasn't gonna. It's it's kind of steady in that Democrat mindset. So it's going to be interesting to see the influx of people that are going to be coming for what we are thinking, or jobs are coming here, and the military projects coming in.
yeah.
So I don't
Well,
know how
and
they're
and
going to
we
handle
and we
that.
are a military town, but like to your point, and we see this across Montana. But even in Great Falls, like the number of license plates with the "Don't Tread on Me" or people with bumper stickers or that sort of thing, which I'm curious if how much they believe. And I heard this the other day, and so I just had to bring it up. But one
Mm.
of Jefferson's letters to William Smith, where he says, "The tree of liberty must be refreshed from time to time with the blood of patriots and tyrants. It is
Hmm.
its natural manure." How many people believe that they are a patriot, where, um, if necessary, they will pay with their blood to refresh the tree of liberty?
Yeah, and that's, I think, we're all of a sudden, we become crackpots. But under the layer, undercurrent, and we all know that those types of things take years. Now we're here for our 250th anniversary, and
Yeah.
they've been screwing it up since 1930. We could even argue even further, back than that, but they've been screwing it up since then, and it has continued. But the repression of people, until it really does affect them, it's crazy how I don't think, I mean, I'm not afraid to die. I'm afraid what I'm going to miss. But if my kids aren't going to be where they are, and they're going to be under the thumb of the government for whatever, then
Hmm.
I think I'll take the political road until I possibly can't take it anymore, or whichever else. But there's still, his words are very strong.
Yeah.
And I think in some parts.
Well, and this was this was a pretty good letter too, because this was before they signed the before the Constitution.
Hmm.
And so this was Jefferson warning about thinking that they were overreacting because of whatever was that Shays Rebellion, I think.
Shays Rebellion. Hmm.
Yeah, and so he was saying that the colonies were overreacting because rebellions are good. What does he describe them? Um, there's been one rebellion in this comes to one rebellion in a century and a half of each state. So adding up all the independent states and the number of years that they've been
Hmm.
independent. Um, and he describes it as, man, where is it? This because there's some pretty good language here. And what can preserve its liberties if their rulers are not warned from time to time that their people preserve the spirit of resistance? Let them take arms. The remedy is to set them right as facts, pardon, and pacify them. What signify a few lives cost a century or two? So essentially, rebellion is it's important for us as the people to be able to demonstrate to the government that um, if we're not in rebellion, then that's our consent.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
like ever since, because shortly after that, they had the Constitution. Because then I think was the Whiskey Rebellion,
Hmm.
um, and that's when the presidency was able to actually wield the the commander in chief title to squall that rebellion. And so I think fairly early on we set that precedent that um, while we were a nation founded on rebellion and resistance, that would no longer be tolerated.
Yeah. And we saw that with the Capitol, right? They wanted to set a clear marker that if anybody ever did this again, or walked through their own house without permission, um, Yes. Were the vandals bad? Yes. Did they break windows? Yes. Okay. But their tax dollar is paid for a lot of those things that are
Yeah.
hanging there. Okay. So you want to find them and give them and say, listen, we see you. You're paying for these windows. They're $40,000 a piece. But to see those patriots treated the way that they were was a clear indication to, again, probably suppressing what is inevitable, but maybe another 5 to 10 years. Right. So maybe I'll be here or maybe I won't, but it's a great scare tactic to do that. And I see Trump is trying to reverse a lot of that. And we know Root, Greg, Root, who fought with those guys to get them out of jail and worked so hard to do that. But his words are very, very compelling as we hit this 250th. If you keep doing it with peace, keep doing it with peace. You keep trying and trying, and we understand that voting does not matter anymore, and it does not reach to the level of making anything better. It stays the same. It's the same course. And if you read the Declaration of Independence and you turn it over and actually read their grievances, not only does it match today, it surpasses them by leaps and bounds.
Right. And so we are likely no longer a country that can preserve its liberties. Because again, are our rulers, do they feel like they can be warned that people preserve the spirit of resistance? I'm not sure if they're truly worried about the American people and their spirit of resistance.
Right. Yeah. Who was it? Who was it that said it? Was it Trump that said no, or was it no? Maybe Obama. Yeah, it was Obama who said, "Let them try. We have bombs. There'll be no rebellion."
Oh, probably. Yeah.
And he spoke about we have F-16s, right? And it's like, whoa, this is where our founders were very clear on a voluntary, military and a voluntary understanding of what that actually means to be a militia. And he blew that right out of the window because he knew he could do it. He knew he could say it and have very little recourse to that justification of using the army and the military to come after, its people. And we saw that in COVID.
Yeah.
Shooting at people at their doorsteps with, non-lethal.
Which likely means that the best solution is the fall of the empire.
Yeah, right. Pretty much. Yes. Rome must fall, and it will. Yeah.
Well, and again, remember when Rome fell, Christianity spread.
Very interesting. That's yeah. Liberties started to happen.
Provided more order than the chaos of the decrepit Roman Empire.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So I think we've been trying to keep these kind of short. I mean, so we're going to wrap this up, and we I think I had a good time, other than my wife and those guys being very, very.
Yeah, there's a lot of highs, a lot of lows. I will say that
there was, and
it's
I'm
not
glad
for the thin. For those who are not thick-skinned.
No, it is definitely not. And boy, I will be a lot wiser running in this party again if I do so on any of those understandings.
I concur.
Yeah. So I'm Kevin.
I'm Tony. We're the Undercurrent and expect to hear more from us.
Have a good one.